Hallo, willkommen backen. Do you like my German? Guys, Arknight's Endfield 1.4 is bad because Edmund was alone with Arcane for 30 minutes, so it's bad. Genuinely something people all over the place are saying, by the way. Endfield 1.4 was bad because the main character was a main plot point in the stories of a couple characters. And yeah, I am being sarcastic as usual, but I will be addressing everything in this video properly, or will I? But jokes actually aside, Arknight's Endfield 1.4 has been absolutely incredible so far, and obviously, the patch highlight is the story quest, although the entire patch is such a huge win for the whole game. Basically, Enfield's devs finally locked in. But just before we get into the content, if you're looking to get yourself an Arcane or Lino and your savings don't exactly measure up to 120 pulls, let me introduce you to lootbar.com. Loot Bar is a recharge platform that provides you with safe top-ups for many different gacha games, including your favorites and mine, Arknights and Arknights Endfield. You can get yourself all the bundles, passes, and top-ups for up to 20% cheaper than in-game prices. You get near instant delivery of your rewards using Loot Bar's self-top-up service for Endfield, which routes you through the game itself. It's a trustworthy site I and so many others have used before, with thousands of great reviews on Trustpilot and 7 days after-sale support and guaranteed refunds. So do me and you both a favor by clicking my link to get an extra new user discount and start using Loot Bar to save some money on your favorite gacha games. Now let's get onto it. So first things first, the story quest is going to be the main focus of this video. However, I do want to talk about what content we already have in this patch other than the quest itself. First off, Echoes of War. This mode is okay.
It's alright, like...
Now I do think that it is a mode that Endfield needed. It has enemies with lots of HP, something that didn't exist in either Contingency Contract nor Umbral Monument, and it's an actually permanent mode that won't disappear and always has the content. And so the game lacked true endgame content that you can actually test your fully maxed out characters in, and in the end, you of course don't need to clear the hardest difficulties even in 3 minutes to get all the rewards. After normal difficulty, it's all ego, not Ethan Page, and a few extra materials. The issue I have with this mode is that if you're playing it for fun rather than testing out characters, it's really nowhere near comparable to Umbral Monuments or Contingency Contract. It's only really gonna be fun when the enemies and mechanics are fun, exactly like other modes like Spiral Abyss, Apocalyptic Shadow, TOA, MOC, etc, etc. Basically, the challenge is the timer. There's very little real difficulty other than timer and HP. You're probably not gonna die, and you're probably defeating the enemies in 10 minutes. What this mode needs is to really be what Apocalyptic Shadow is at its best times. It should be a mode that really goes into the mechanics of the enemies and even give them new mechanics rather than actually deleting them like in the third stage. It honestly really pisses me off how they deleted the bosses in rage state rather than capitalize upon it to create a more fun experience rather than make it an HP sponge instead. Now we are going to get more stages in the future and hopefully they dedicate more time to them. The current first stage was absolutely horrible. The second stage was really fun, especially with the lava cake team because there was a lot more movements involved, and the third stage was fine, I guess. My issue with it is what I just explained. Should have kept the enraged state, and I haven't played with the factory content yet because I've been way too busy to play any gacha game for more than 10 minutes a day, but I do think what we got is really good for the rest of the game. We can have more room for more smaller yet complex production lines that go through less steps yet produce the same materials, allowing us to really pack in our factories a lot more. But my favorite part about the factory update is the backwards compatibility with the components. This means you only ever need to craft the newest components, and you can leave the materials for the old components to create other things to sell to the outposts, and what materials you create can be unique to you, so the factory can be more personal rather than just being a literal blueprint every player has. Now let's actually talk about the main story quest, the North Wuling Exclusion Zone arc, the end of the Very Large Rift, the introduction of Lady Sue, and the relationship growth arc between Chen and Arcane, which was so f***ing good. I need more of them. I need an event with these two where Chen fails a bunch of misinstructor Li Jian's classes or something. It would be so good. So this story is kinda special to me because not only is this the first time I've ever actually cried because of a gacha game, not only is this the first time I've ever cried because of any piece of media, whether show or movie or game, but it's also the first time I cried twice in the same session in a gacha game. The first was when we had to give Blitz Crash a send-off because the death of a pet, especially a cat-like pet, no matter how huge it is, will always hit me like a truck. Especially when Arcane said she should have left her in the mountains, that got me right in the field. The second was during the Arcane section after she fell into the chasm and both her and the Endman saw all the Blight Shades, and especially again when Arcane said, "Man, this girl really knows how to make me cry," this line.
This Blight Shade, me.
What's the difference between us?
So other than the huge lore bombs frequently dropped throughout this entire thing, which I will not be discussing because this video is about discussing the quality of the story and not the story itself, this quest was great from start to finish. It had pretty good pacing throughout, with plenty of room for exploring around the new maps with a bunch of environmental storytelling, some neat puzzles here and there, although they really should be way hard, they're kinda too easy, and quite a few opportunities to take breaks here and there while also keeping the story going at just the right speed. Speaking of which, it did have an amazing story with character growth and character lore across the board. It gave us moments with not only the new characters Arcane and Lady Yes, while also teasing future stories with her and M3, whose voice is f***ing enchanting to me for some reason.
I suppose Ardashir mentioned it to you?
But also gave us moments with Zhuang Fangyi, even Depan and Li Feng, while giving Chen and Arcane a lot of moments together. This is what a main story quest should be like, introduce all the characters. Chen and Arcane's fight scene with Instructor Ju is probably my favorite out of this quest. I did hear a lot of people talking about how Endman being sort of the catalyst for Arcane's growth in this quest is a bad thing, and I never really heard a why. The Endman is the main character of Endfield, so it's only natural they'd be very influential with the characters around them, and it only ever becomes weird or a bad storytelling device or annoying when they're constantly using the main character basically as a god who's only there to aura farm and rizz all the waifus. This is also something people said about Mifu's and even Camille's quests, which I find pretty weird. Now, in Mifu's quest, Endman's writing was definitely way too intrusive. I didn't really like that, despite overall enjoying Mifu's quest. They shouldn't have been able to fight with Mifu, for example, and it should have given the Endman a more important role rather than a character following along completely clueless, until they just got told the whole plan. In Camille's quest, though, some players just wanted Camille to go through this quest alone, and others wanted other operators to go with Camille through this quest. And while it would be pretty cool to see different characters interact with each other, especially if you have the different Sarkaz operators interact with Camille, the Endman, who is the main character, should still be one of the main drivers for the stories they are in. The others wanting Camille to go through this quest alone, though, are asking for a disaster because character development facilitated through interactions with other characters, including the main character who is the Endman, will most times be way better than character development facilitated alone. Camille already failed to capture Char 5 billion times and already thinks Seshka doesn't trust him. Why the hell would going alone on this mission solve either of those things? Things like that are a lot of what these people complaining completely forget. If Chen were to drop down to save Arcane instead of the Endman, first, she would have probably gotten hit by the big blight shockwave because she doesn't have any sort of Originium shield, and she also doesn't have any control over Originium like the Endman does, which they used to bring back the data fragments, aka the pale blight shades of Arcane's past, that the blight shockwave destroyed, and thus there would have been no Arcane character development at that moment. Chen being there instead of the Endman would have been useless character development-wise, and it's not like they didn't have any moments together, they had many. And of course, the last thing we have to discuss about the story is the amazing cinematics. As usual with Arknight's Endfield, the highlights of every quest are going to be the music, the visuals, the animations, the facial expressions, and everything that delivers the story to you. There's full show and don't tell. Bland dialogue scenes are super rare since most dialogue scenes in Endfield are fully fledged animated cutscenes. Hypergriff already has a visual novel game, so with Endfield it's quite obvious that they want to prove how amazing of a studio they are with animating, music, and everything in between. I thought that the 1.2 quest was going to be the best thing we see out of Endfield for a while, like literally see, but I was quickly proven wrong. I'm still obsessed with the letter writing scene, by the way. I don't care what anybody has to say about Zhuang Fangyi, this scene definitely got me. At the end of the quest, we also got a pretty great reveal that, thank God, we didn't have to wait years for, even without confirmation, because hot ladies always seem to die in big gacha games, but at least Neferth won't be given the Senora or Kokolia treatments. Just the closure treatment seems more likely at this point. So she's not dead, which definitely needs a good explanation, and she stabbed Ardashir, but he's also probably not dead as Lady Su said, because he doesn't rely on physical bodies anymore. Anyway, this quest was a 10 out of 10 for me, absolutely zero down my mind. While it's still not on the level of what OG Arknights has given us, it's not going to go from the lowest lows of Valley 4 in the first chapter in Wuling to the absolute highest highs of Arknights in the span of 6 months, although it definitely improved massively, and it's definitely now the single best quest I've ever done in any gacha game, followed by 1.2, Lavataine and Camille's quest, then Ferlova's story in Wuwa, and then Belobog and Honkai Star Rail. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and join the Express Rain Discord server for a fun and lovely community to hang out with. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.